Now, should diversity jobs be scrapped to save the taxpayer cash? Rishi Sunak's Common Sense Minister, Esther McVey, what a job title that is, has announced plans to scrap jobs dedicated to equality, diversity and inclusion. She says public money is being wasted on what she calls woke hobby horses across Whitehall, and she plans to meet bodies that have spent the most on external equality, diversity and inclusion and ask them what the hell is going on. Do you think that's a good idea, Phil?
Common Sense Minister, what a joke that is. I mean, what an utter joke from a government that's kind of left the country in chaos. Common sense would be to do something about NHS waiting lists. Common sense would be to clean up our rivers because of all the sewage that's going in. Common sense might be to tax the energy giants and the supermarkets who are making enormous profits while ordinary working people can't afford to pay their energy bills or food bills. I mean, I'm kind of lost for words here. This estimate there is banging on about the colour of some of 500,000 civil servants' land-yard. That's what she cares about.
So explain that. She doesn't want the pride colours on it.
Yeah, okay. And that's what she cares about. That's what she was going on and on and on about, with the country in chaos. And this is a minister who, I mean, if she wants to save money, what about MPs' expenses? This is a minister, I'm quoting from the Telegraph and the Guardian here, who claimed £39,000 for her flat in London over 2 years. That would save the taxpayer a few bob if she wasn't claiming all that money.
Angela, what do you think?
I think actually, Phil, you destroy your own argument because you're saying...
Thanks for the respect.
It's okay, well meant. But seriously, no, because the thing is that all those things that you say are absolutely true. So therefore, what Esther McVey is saying is, so therefore, why waste taxpayers' money
on what?
On these kind of these woke style programs, protocols, jobs,
like what?
The diversity schemes, diversity training.
Well, give an example.
Let's hear the
classic example would be you have a diversity officer in an NHS trust who is trying to ensure, let's say that midwives are not all white. Let's use so that if you come and you're a woman from an ethnic minority about to give birth, you may find somebody who, aligns more with your own experience, maybe.
I mean, the thing is, and we'll go on to discuss this in the papers, when you actually go to the hospital to give birth, or whatever the reason,
you don't care.
You don't care. You want the best person for the job. And what she's saying... You
might care if you were black.
Can I just finish?
I'm
sorry to pull rank, but can I just tell you, when you go into labour and you've got raging labour pains and there's people there who've got the skill and equipment to make that go away, you don't care if they are Mickey Mouse. You just want them to do it. And I am not being dismissive of the complexion of the...
So maybe we don't need a diverse crew in the NHS.
Sorry, Phil, but I did listen to you, and I think the point is that if we fail when it comes to meeting meritocracy, getting the best person for the job, and we try to kind of tick box.
That always happens, does it?
And quota Phil.
A black friend of mine who has an African name says he doesn't even apply for some jobs because they don't even look at him because he has an African... There's racism out there. You know that. You're Jewish. There is racism out there.
You have to stop slinging the Jewish card.
And Jeremy mentioned the National Health Service. In 2019, the National Health Service paid out hundreds of billions, apparently £2.2 billion, £2.2 million, because of discrimination, racist and bullying. Sounds like we need a bit more diversity.
Does the diversity officer create that problem?
Well, I think solve it? Sounds like we need a few more diversity officers to stop it.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you are making it a thing. You are saying that if the complexion of the workforce, quite literally, does not comprise certain demographics, then therefore it's not going to be an effective workforce. I understand about how certain...
What about my friend who doesn't apply for jobs?
100%. I agree with you.
There's racism out there still.
There may be racism out there, and those that are called to... If that he feels is the case, then absolutely that needs to be called to account. But this idea of putting in place so-called diversity officers to deconstruct the situations in public platforms, when actually what we need are the best people for the job.
Okay, I hear that. I hear that.
Important.
PPE, this Conservative government spent hundreds of millions of pounds on PPE that didn't even work. The contracts
How is that relevant to this?
It's relevant to this because we're talking about saving money.
No, but we're
talking about saving money. This was an enormous waste
But then you
of
want
money.
them to save money, right?
Lady Moan made £29 million
So get rid of
alone.
this. This will save them a few quid.
56.
That's what I'm saying. You destroy your own argument.
Let's get some social media here. Jane on Twitter says they are hate campaigning in government. And so hate campaigning is a new verb here. I haven't heard that before. They're hate campaigning in government and via their friends in the press. It's the only straw they can clutch at to try to retain power. Of course, they want to take out those who stand in their way. Oh, it feels like an election year, doesn't it? Elizabeth on X says they should be scrapped. These diversity jobs should always be the best person for the job.
Sadly, that doesn't always happen.
So you think if you don't have a diversity officer, you end up with basically job interviewers give the job to someone who looks like them?
The best will in the world. I mean, sorry, but the best will in the world. People employ people like themselves. It's been proved time and time again. You know, we want a more diverse workforce. It's better for an organisation, and it doesn't always happen. And that extent of harassment and bullying and racism in the health service, you know, it sounds like we need more diversity officers, not fewer.
Michelle's in London. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, what do you think? They're thinking of scrapping diversity officers.
I think that's a bad idea. I think that representation matters.
Yeah.
I think that it's widely reported that ethnic minorities, I'm African American, I don't have any kids, but I do know that the Black mortality rate is through the roof. And I think that sometimes it's difficult for expectant mothers to kind of be advocates when they're going through labor and have fears about the childbirthing experience. And sometimes it's better to have someone that is equally qualified, but looks like you, that might actually understand your concerns as a person of color.
Are you talking, when you say black maternity rate through the roof, you talking about UK or USA? Just help me.
Oh, good question. I think it's happening on both sides of the pond, if I'm honest.
But I made the same point that you're making, Michelle, which is that, and I made it as sensitively as I could, that maybe a mum-to-be wants the midwife to look like them. And Angela, you know, fair enough, hit me with the laser here and said, look, all we care about is that they know how to work gas and air.
And I have to say, Michelle, having been in that situation, I've been very blessed to have it sounds awful, I've done it 4 times, but and I have had the most incredible midwives. I've had black midwives, Chinese midwives, white midwives. You know, it has made no difference.
But you're
to
white
the
and middle class.
To the care and expertise. Yeah, but I didn't have a white. I'm not middle class actually. A white Jewish North Manchester midwife delivering my baby. I didn't have the replica of me. I just had women. They were all women, as it happened, who were brilliant at their job, and I am super.
What about that, Michelle?
Grateful.
So you don't need diversity among midwives.
I'm glad that Angela had a positive experience with all 4 of her births. That's not always commonplace when it comes to ethnic minorities that are giving birth here in the UK. And again, I think that possibly if there are equally qualified nurses and doctors who have gone through that experience of giving birth and maybe not had people understand the pain or the complexity of their births or are traumatized by previous unfortunate birthing experience, I think, again, it's important. And then also on a separate note, I wish people would stop using woke as being a negative thing. Woke means that you're just educated and that you are aware of struggles amongst other members of the community.
The word is kind of contested at the moment. So some people see it as positive, some people see it as negative. I just wanted to ask before you go, increasingly, we're thinking Trump's going to win this thing.
Oof.
Yeah, because he's ahead. The latest poll has him ahead in the 5 key swing states. All 5.
You might have to put a 5-second buffer on me because that caught me off guard.
I just wanted to hear your instinctive rush of air.
Neither one of the candidates are great, and I am horrified as an American that that's the best we can do out of a country that has, you know, obviously millions upon millions of people, that we have geriatric candidates, and one seems immoral, and the other one doesn't know where he is half the time. So it just kind of breaks my heart that's the lay of the land right now.
Michelle,
but
thank
and
you.
also as a side note, I do love your show, Jeremy.
Oh, bless you, thank you. No, I had to ask because I thought Trump wasn't going to win. And the last couple of days, I've suddenly thought this case is, I don't know how it's happening, seems to be working for him. Christopher in Kent, hi. Let's go back to diversity. Would you sack the diversity people, Christopher?
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I would, actually, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a waste of money, and I think it's actually divisive as well. I think that all jobs should be given on merit and merit alone. I believe in equal opportunities for everybody, but jobs should actually only be given on merit. And in fact,
your name is Christopher Kent, and you'll sail through the interview, I know. But if your name, well, because no one's going to, you don't have a name. Phil's been talking about names that are recognisably African, and people then don't get a job interview.
Well, actually, I can be perfectly. I have had a lot of experience where I have sent literally hundreds of CVs off when I was unemployed, and I didn't get an answer to any of them. So I'm afraid it does work. Quite a lot of ways.
The pale male things, Phil. Maybe the diversity officers need to help the pale males.
Well, one would have. Equal opportunity. We all want that to happen, and I'm sorry, Christopher, you didn't get the job you went for. But there's a lot of evidence that ethnic minorities don't always have that equal opportunity, and there's a lot of evidence that when people go for jobs, they're excluded just because of how they look.
Okay, thank you for all your calls. Later, the papers and everything else.